After spending days mulling over our surreal encounter, I was still pretty mortified. I wasn't particularly a prude, but I did have some sense of privacy. Not only was it bad enough that he knew I had ordered a sex toy for myself, but then I also had to blabber on about why. I had a big mouth when I was nervous. It was like verbal diarrhea. I didn't see him again, but that wasn't unusual, because working at the lodge kept me busy. Even though I loved my primary job as the accountant and bookkeeper, I also covered shifts at the restaurant when needed. Once a working farm, Stolen Hearts Lodge had morphed into a high-end adventure resort where guests could trek out on various outdoor adventures in the Blue Ridge Mountains while staying here. The lodge also ran a rescue program for animals in the old portion of the farm, with a veterinary clinic on site. Although I had a sheltered childhood, my parents encouraged me to get a college education. We lived close to one of the state colleges, so I was able to live at home while I attended. My love for numbers led to a degree in accounting, and then I was fortunate enough to have Wade Ellis's mother hook me up with this job. I sensed she was worried about me living at home after graduation. I'd been worried about it, too. I loved my parents, but sometimes they drove me nuts. They were hardcore into Jesus. I believed in God, but I just didn't think God wanted life to be boring. My mother had been wild when she was a teenager, and somewhere along the way she met my birth father. Everything I knew about him was that he was a rather bumbling and sweet guy. He also liked to party. Hard. He died in a car accident when he was drunk, while my mom was pregnant with me. There my mother was, pregnant with no college degree and no real way to support herself as a single mother. She made up for her youthful indiscretions by becoming a polite, kind-hearted pastor's wife. The pastor in question adopted me when I was only 1 year old. I loved my parents dearly, even if I chafed against their worries. My mother had been determined not to let history repeat itself. I wasn't even allowed to date in high school. In fact, I was quite certain if my mother could have her way, I would get married and have a family somehow, without ever having sex. My mother even hoped I'd read the freaking Bible she sent me in my spare time. Not that there was anything wrong with the Bible, but I'd already read it cover to cover, several times in Bible study. After the poor Bible ended up on the floor beside my vibrator that fateful afternoon with Lucas, I'd made sure to tuck it away in the bottom drawer of my dresser, safe from accidentally inappropriate moments. Sigh. My life was sometimes ridiculous. I might be naive when it came to things like men and sex. However, I was anything but naive in other ways. With a funny mix of devout and free love in their approach to religion, my parents were about the least judgmental people I knew.